Neuro-Strengths-Based Support for Autism framework has a foundation of understanding. And I know you and I talk a lot about this, and the importance of understanding how our brains work. Unfortunately, we don't necessarily think society thinks this way yet, but it is an important foundation. Of course, we all want the answers, but in order to really be successful with implementing the strategies and the supports and the answers, we have to know the underlying neurological differences. So I want you to talk a little bit today about, from the autistic perspective, especially with building that connection, why is it important that non-autistics understand autistic individuals?
The problem is that, as you said, society doesn't, because your brain works so automatically, no one thinks about how the brain influences how we feel, how we act, how we think. All those issues are all the complex interactions that go on within the brain, and the gut that feeds the brain the chemicals it needs to function. The only times we become maybe aware of how our brain functions is when we have these memory lapses and all of a sudden we can't remember because we're overtired or something challenges our brain to not function as efficiently. Then we may become aware that there's something going on. We still don't always think it's the brain, but we just think it's our body that's off. But it really is the body that's affecting the brain, and the brain isn't functioning well, so we don't function well. And if you consider that everyone is an individual, and your gut biome is what makes each of us the individual that we are, because our gut biome feeds the brain the chemicals it needs to work. And so understanding all of that helps every individual to understand why within a family, siblings can be so drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it has to do with the gut biome when they were born and how that influences their development. So if you consider that non-autistics have a hard time understanding autistics. And from what research has shown, it's not that we don't have a brain that looks just like theirs, not that we don't have a gut that functions like theirs, but the brain-gut connection and how the brain works as a result is different, and it causes the autistic to develop differently too.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, if you don't understand why, and a lot of it I'm inviting you is to not only understand the autistic brain, but figure out your brain and how it's different from everyone else. And it would help you in your relationships with other people in life to say, oh, maybe their brain is a little working differently, and be a little more curious about why we are all so very different. And when that understanding occurs, this is where, as a therapist, working with autistic clients, when I see that the light bulb goes on in the mother's head or the family member's head that says, oh, I get what you're talking, I get why they do that. Now it's not such a mystery. I think I can adapt to that. Then immediately I see that bond between the two of them. Everyone wants to feel they are understood and valued for the individual person they are. And they're not valued because they're like everybody else. They're valued for the individual they are and what they can contribute that other people can't to the world, to the life. That's what makes us valuable and appreciated. And that's what people want, is to understand, be understood, and understand other people. It's the misunderstandings that cause the problems.
It is. And I feel like as individuals, we kind of have to be ready and open to that understanding. And I feel like those that are ready to understand themselves. Because, there's a lot of discussion about shame and generational trauma and things like that right now, where if we're not ready to kind of look at our own stuff and look at, yeah, what were we shamed about as children? Oh, you're lazy, or, different things like that. When, hey, no, I wasn't lazy. I had really poor executive functioning skills and I didn't know where to begin. And so if each of us look at, okay, how do I understand myself? I will be more open to understanding the clients I work with, understanding my child. So I love that. You're right. In order to feel seen and heard, we have to be understood and we have to be open to understanding ourselves. And I hope more and more people start to feel that way because it feels good. I think the feedback we've gotten from autistic adults themselves and our parents is just that awe of, wow, I feel seen and heard. Wow, I see my child. And like you said, we can connect now. So awesome.
Mhm.
Thanks, Sue.
You're welcome.